Okay. Okay. Hello, you guys. Good evening. How is everybody doing? I pray everybody is doing well. What I am going to, well, first of all, let's go ahead and go over my scripture. My scripture for today, and I actually did two. I said, both hands are skilled in doing evil. The ruler demands gifts. The judge accepts bribes. The powerful dictates what they desire. They all conspire together. And that comes from Micah 7:3. And then I also did, if a ruler listens to lies, all of his officials become wicked. Proverbs 29:12. And the reason I chose this is because, unfortunately, when we go and we work for, different people and we work up under them, we are in compromising situations because we have to listen to those that are above us. And sometimes when doing what those that are above us request us to do, we don't always have the right information. We don't always know the truth, or we don't always know what we're doing or what we are participating in. All we know is that we're following, so to speak, the leader. We're following the orders of the leader, the instructions of the leaders. We are going back today to listen to Sheriff Roberts' audio recording and what he shared with us in the beginning. When this all took place. And the reason for doing this is because I had a couple of people to say, well, we already knew she hit him and she left the scene. What is the significance of having having a reflection of my brother body in her headlights? Well, the significance of the reflection of my brother in her headlights is the fact that there was never supposed to have been mid-morning or early morning pictures. There was never supposed to have been pictures prior to daybreak, because we were told that the first time someone made it out to the scene was after daybreak, early morning, around 7. And so I wanted to go back and I wanted to just listen to the information that Sheriff Roberts shared with us when he came over to my mom's house, because I made a couple of calls today, and I'm going to share with you why I made those calls. I'm going to share with you also what I learned from making those calls. But I made a couple of calls today, and I found out that even the smallest of information could have potentially been a lie. Something so small as saying that an elderly man called after passing the body and said that he's seen a body. For those of you who know, when the incident first took place, there was a major concern that she never called. She never reported the incident. She never called the police department. And they gave an excuse of, well, she never called because she didn't know what she hit. And then it went from her never calling to report it. And there was a question of, well, then how did they learn about it? And so then it came out that there was an elderly man that called and reported seeing a body on the side of the road. Now, the thing about that is, when I made my calls today, I started trying to put in motion having the case potentially reopened. And so I called the circuit court. And when I spoke to the representative from the circuit court, she shared with me that there had to be a letter of motion filed. And she said it was going to be $50 or so. And so once I called the circuit court and I got that information, I wanted to confirm whether or not I could file a letter of motion to have it have the case reopened, or is that something that another entity, or the prosecuting attorney or whatever had to do. And so then I called the prosecuting coordinator's office. So when I called the prosecuting coordinator's office, I inquired about whether or not I was able to file that motion, to have it reopened. I shared with them, of course, I wouldn't be representing it, of course not. But if it actually, required someone else to file it. And so I learned that in order to have the case reopened, that that letter of motion had to come from the local law enforcement office, or it had to come from the prosecuting attorney. So then I got off the phone with them, and I called the El Dorado prosecuting attorney's office. And I spoke to a representative over there, and I shared with them the same thing, that I wanted to be educated in regards to how do you go about reopening I shared with them what I had went through with calling the circuit court and then the prosecuting coordinator's office. And I asked, so at this point, can you please share with me who would be the person to talk to in regards to having a letter of motion filed? And I was told that that person would be Jack McQuarrie. So if you don't mind, give me just a second. Mr. McQuarrie, I did send you a text today sharing with you the very thing that I'm sharing now in regards to the steps to how I got to your name. And I did share in that text that I am seeking to get information from you in regards to what do I need to do next in order to have you to potentially consider reopening the case, and how much more evidence do you need. And I did not hear from you today. So just so you know, if I don't hear from you, I said I was going to give you a day or two because I know you're a very busy person. I'll give you a day or two, and if I don't hear from you in a day or two, then I will go ahead and try and make a phone call. I try to respect your choice in not wanting to take phone calls at the number in which the prosecuting coordinator's office had shared with me. So with that said, after a day or two, I will attempt to call you on your phone. And if I'm not able to get you on your phone, then I will at that point draft up an email and call the prosecuting coordinator's number and see if I can, at that point, get an email address from someone over there to where it can reach that location, and maybe they can hand off the letter to you in person. So I guess I just want you to know that I am making an effort to reach out to you. So if you can, kindly please text me a reply or give me a call, whatever works best for you. So now going back into this, so I did text Mr. Jack McQuarrie, and then I decided that, okay, from there, well, I'll cover both ends. I'll, reach out to the prosecuting attorney, since that was one option in getting, having a letter of motion filed. And I'll also try and reach out to local law enforcement. Well, this is what I learned when I reached out to the local law enforcement. I called over to the sheriff department, and of course, again, I was not able to speak with Sheriff Ricky Roberts, but his wonderful secretary, she did take time out with me for quite a bit, and I really do appreciate her. She took some time out and she searched the system for the victim's name, trying to find the incident in the computer. And she said she had nothing in her system. She said, so yeah, we don't have anything over here to even try and reopen a case. And so she said, that's with the city. You need to give the city a call. So she gave me the number to reach out to the city. I reached out to the El Dorado Police Department, and I shared with them everything that I just shared with you guys, starting from the circuit court. And I shared with them additionally that I had spoke to the sheriff department secretary, and she went into the system and she looked for quite a bit trying to find information in regards to this case, and she could not. And so she pointed me in your direction, the El Dorado Police Department. So at this time, the wonderful lady that I spoke to there, and I have names and everything, of course, but the wonderful lady I spoke to there, she shared with me that she said, well, let me look. And she asked me the date and time of the incident and all of these things. And she looked in her system and she said, well, when would it have been called in? And I gave her the information for when it would be when it should have been called in and everything. And she found nothing. And so after a while of looking and not finding anything, she then forwarded me over to a detective. I spoke with the detective. We spoke for a bit, and the detective, she looked in the system. She tried to find things, find out information in regards to it. Same thing. She didn't find any information. So no one had found where the call even came in at. So she said, well, let me get off the phone with you and let me do some digging and ask some questions or whatever, make a couple of calls. She did call me back. She called me back. She shared with me that she said it was supposed to come from the sheriff department. The call should have came in through the sheriff department. So she said, so I'm going to have and I am going to call his wonderful name out because he did not call me back. She said, so you should be getting a call back soon from a Detective Stinson. And so, and the way she sounded as though this Mr. Detective Stinson was going to call me back pretty much shortly after she had called me, if not, ringing my number while she was on the phone with me. And unfortunately, I did not hear back from Detective Stinson. I still have not heard back from Detective Stinson, and I started these calls out this morning. So, prayerfully, Detective Stinson is feeling much better tomorrow, and I am much more successful in reaching him. So, this was a shocker to me because, one, when we was at the prosecuting attorney sit down, I had asked if we could know the name of the elderly man that was supposedly that had supposedly driven across my brother's body or whatever. And when I meant passing, saw my brother's body and made the phone call. I felt like that had to be something, hard on that person as well. And so I did ask about, who was the person, and we was not given that information. And so now to hear that there's a possibility that the call never even existed in the first place, that's a concern. Because I don't know, for those of you who's been following this for a while, also with one of my concerns with Mr. Butterfield's death was that the call in regards to an individual, was a neighbor, I believe they said a neighbor, that actually found his body. In regards to that call went to the sheriff's office too. And I kid you not, it puzzles me. It just completely puzzles me. I'm so baffled when I say that I don't understand. I don't get it when 10 digits, a 10-digit phone number, if you're calling from a cell phone, or a 7-digit number if you're calling from a landline local phone, trumps 3-digit code numbers, 911. You manage in a fragile state. You just crossed a dead body, both individuals. You just crossed a dead body. And you mean to tell me you're calm enough to dial or think of a 10-digit number if you're calling from a cell phone, or a 7-digit number if you're calling from a local landline phone, to call the sheriff department and skip completely over 911? I'm completely baffled. Maybe that's a new thing here, in Arkansas. But that's in two situations where you have dead bodies that come up, and the people thought to call the sheriff department rather than the police department at 911 emergency. So But needless to say, when I started thinking about, or when I learned that, making these calls, that neither the sheriff department or the police department had this in their system, it had my wheels turning back to everything that Sheriff Roberts has said to us during that time. And to just think that, something as even as small as a phone call from an elderly man that was supposedly had been passing by, who was supposed to have been the first person to report the incident because the driver herself never did, made me want to go back and just see exactly how many lies did this man tell me and how many lies have I uncovered. So we're going to listen to this audio together because I decided not to listen to it by myself. So I'm going to have you guys to listen to it with me. And for some of you guys, it'll be your first time listening to this audio. And for others, I know you have listened to it before. But during that time, you was probably listening to it as a first-time listener and just, taking it for what it was, taking it and thinking that this is the truth. And so now we're going to actually, now that you have more information that has been presented to you, more audios that have been presented to you, you too can listen to and see if you're able to identify, some of the lies that have been shared. I guess let's do that. We'll do that and then we'll come back to this. So this is, trying to think if this is the first visit or if it's the second visit when he came by. Please forgive me. I don't believe I know the answer to that off the top of my head. I probably will figure it out once we go, but here we go. I gotta let you go. This is Sheriff Roberts calling me. Sorry. All right. Hello?
Hello, is this Christy Manning?
Yes, it is.
This is Sheriff Roberts with the Union County Sheriff's Office, and I've got a call that, returning your call, ma'am. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed. And yourself?
I am. We just got back from the prosecutor's office. The file is in his hand, and we still have a couple of, we've got one guy that we're going to re-interview, and then we're waiting on some toxicology reports, and of course the autopsy, which the autopsy sometimes takes a while. Toxicology, hopefully we'll have all of that information. We were hoping we'd had it by today, but we went ahead and presented our case to the prosecutor, and so it's in his hands. And he said it's going to take his time because it's the file is fairly lengthy, and he's going to take his time and look at it and review it. He said he couldn't give us a timetable as to when he's going to make his recommendation or his decision on the case. But we have looked at a lot. We've got some questions that we still can't get answered for one reason or the other. That doesn't mean that we're not going to give up on it. But there may be some questions that we can answer when it's all said and done. But anyway, that's where we're at today. And
no, hold on. I'm sorry, you guys. That's the wrong one. I do apologize. Let's see if this one. I have a couple of his recordings, so please forgive me. Let me see.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
You don't know where we're going to go with it from here, but she will be charged with leaving the scene of an accident. We did kick around negligent homicide, but the problem with negligent homicide is a Class A misdemeanor. And a leaving the scene of an accident with death is a deep felony, which is a felony. You can get up to 6 years in for it. He feels like we've got a better case to prove that he didn't render aid as what the law says to the T. To prove negligent homicide, you have to show that he intentionally ran him over or did something else. And we're at that point where criminally, you have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And we just don't think that negligent homicide is where we need to go. We need to go with the harder event, leaving the scene of an accident, which the letter of the law says when you hit something, you're to immediately stop, render aid. Well, they haven't really defined what that something is. Some people say, well, I hit a dog and they keep going, or I hit a cat and they keep going, or I hit a possum, whatever. But in this case, we find it hard for her not to understand what she did. You know, even if she didn't realize at the time she hit a person, she should have. Yes, she should have known something was going on. Now, let me go back and tell you some of the things that he's done.
Mom, let him talk, please.
He had meth in his system. He had marijuana in her system.
He had meth in his system? I got that.
We got a witness that says he was smoking meth with him.
No. I don't care what witness. What did your paperwork say? Okay, I'm gonna hush. I'm gonna take this in. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Crime lab said he had meth in his system. Okay?
Don't raise your voice at me. Go ahead and do your delivery, please.
Okay. Who is this? Okay. This is the lady I talked to on the phone. All right.
Oh, so this is the prosecuting attorney that we're talking to.
Ma'am?
Is that who we're talking to? I just want to make sure that's who we're talking to, the prosecuting attorney.
No. You're talking to the sheriff.
This is Sheriff Roberts.
Sheriff Roberts, you're right. Yes,
okay.
Ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Toxicology, and that's one of the reports we were waiting on, was his toxicology and hers. Says that he had meth in his system. She had marijuana in her system. Okay. At the time that, and see, this was something that was said early on that we didn't get tox from her. Yes, we did. We got it within 2 hours of identifying her as the driver of the vehicle. She admits that she smoked marijuana on Friday before. That doesn't matter to me. It was in her system. Okay, they say marijuana's in your system for 30 days. I don't know. I don't care. When I do a report on you and you say this is what it is, then this is what I go with. But early on, we sent him to Little Rock. Oh, well, wait a minute, back up. We called Little Rock and said, hey, we need to send him for a autopsy. They refused us. They said, no, we're not going to do an autopsy. We called back up there 2 more times before we got to the head boss and said, let me tell you something. We got a case here that's going to have a lot of questions. And we're not just going to say, we want to know, one, was he facing the traffic when he was hit? Was he walking away from the traffic when he was hit? What injuries does he have to his body? We need to know that because we're at this.
You guys, I want you guys to listen to when he says they have answers that we're going to want questions, that we're going to have questions to. Or however he put it. When I tell you, and I have other recordings where this speaks of, where he speaks of, they have answers that we're going to have questions in regards to. So listen to this when this comes up.
We're at this point of, this is a criminal wrongful death case. We knew we were going one or the other way with it. We had to. Finally, we got them to agree on Monday. They came and got him on Tuesday. They did the autopsy, and they told us that, yes, he was walking away from the track light. She hit him from behind. He hit like the front driver's fender, and he hit the windshield. She hit him, he flew up and hit the windshield, and he was hit one time. He wasn't run over. That was another question that we had, because our coroner was telling his opinion, and his opinion was that he'd gotten run over after he was hit the original time. The autopsy says no. The medical examiner says no. He was hit, and he died within just seconds of being hit. He didn't suffer. The injuries he had was so, to the degree that was so that he died just within seconds after he was hit.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, and I want to show you this again. Keep in mind, he said it was just a clean hit, right? But again, remember, we have all the way down, well, all the way from here, and if you read that, it says evidence of recent injuries. Evidence of recent injuries. All the way from here, all the way down to here of recent injuries from just a clean hit. That's a lot of injuries. That consists of, and I don't know if you recall, but if you recall, it was large numbers. It was over, just right here alone, just right here alone is 12 Punte wounds. I don't know if you can see the 12 there. 12 Punte wounds, and Punte wounds are like punctured wounds. But there were several Punte wounds with it's like two adjacent Punte wounds, but two adjacent Punte wounds. And I shared that my hypothesis is that sounds like, it sounds like a taser, especially considering the fact that up at the top, in which I've already mentioned it, but I am going to mention it again. Up at the top, it actually says that he had, where was it? It talked about his incisor teeth damaged because he had clenched. I'm trying to see if I can find it, you guys, because I hate not giving the exacts. Scattered over dorsal skin surfaces. Okay. Let's see here. Syria. Okay, you guys are going to have to forgive me. But it talked about, oh, maybe it's on the front page. Sorry. Rigor mortis. Consistent. Oh, here it is, where the green is underlined in it. So it says that let's see. So anyway, it says the left upper medial incisors was noted to be severely chipped. And so I took that as, in order for your incisors to be chipped, that there's a possibility that your body was reacting where you were clenching down on your teeth from potentially a shot. So I took it as though it could have been a potential taser shot. But throughout this evidence of recent injury that is being made so small there's over, as I just shared with you, there's 12 punte wounds just along there. But outside of those, there's 8 or more punte wounds. Addition to that, there's lacerations on varied parts of his body. And so if you're doing if it's just a straight impact, then my question again, and I've asked, over and over to please educate me on, how do you get so many injuries from just a straight hit? So again, I just wanted to show you that since he had mentioned it. Keep moving. And by the way, this is not the one that I actually wanted you guys to hear. I actually wanted you guys to hear when it all first started out, and I apologize. I have a couple of different recordings. Actually, I picked the wrong one, but we'll move forward with this one.
He wasn't run over. He wasn't laying in the road. He wasn't, as some people would say, he was suffering and laying in the ditch. So what we did that is we continued to investigate who he was with, what he was with. We got him back. We traced him all the way back. Mileage report that we got him at Brookshire's on video of getting $35 from that was wired down from his wife to pay the guy to take him to Laurel. Talked to that guy. We talked to the guy that was at the house. Know that was going to give him a ride. Showed up about 3:15, 3:20. Donald got mad because the guy's supposed to have been there and they're supposed to have left at 3 to get him to Laurel time to catch the bus. So I'm going to take off the wall. Talked to his wife. His wife said when she talks to him, she gives us the time. We do the phone. We check his records. We check her records. We check phone records. Everybody that we talk to, we done phone records. We can put Donald and his wife talking somewhere around 3:25, 3:26 that morning. She said he told her he was at Sumac, which is up the road. And then we traded phone calls back. He was calling other people to get a ride. He was then to get a ride up until around 30, 40. That happened that probably shouldn't have happened if somebody would have just done what they needed to do, and that would have been take him, as they told him, and take him from point A to point B.
I can't help but to address this again. I addressed it once as a shout out to Sheriff Roberts. I think that is one of the most tackiest and disrespectful things you can do is listen to the testimonies of grieving family members and hear their truth, hear their testimonies, and then go and stand in somebody's home and pretty much just kick them in their face. He would still be living pretty much if somebody would have did what they said they were going to do by taking him to Little Rock. That was so, I'm sorry, right today, Sheriff Roberts. I just think that is so disrespectful and such a no-no at that time. And I just really don't think you had any right to say it.
But again, we got the autopsy report back. We've got all of our reports. The prosecutor saying we're going forward, and so that's where we're at. No questions?
Yes. So what side of the road they was on? He was in this way. So she came up and hit him from behind, that's what you're saying? Did you actually coming this way too?
She was coming down, he was coming down.
So he had to go, which side? Okay. So they tell me they thought the body was over in the crate. In the middle.
He was walking.
Up over there?
He was driving around. He was in closest to the meeting. Outside. Some people call it the fast lane. Some people call it the pass lane. He was walking just to the inside of that. He hit it about 6 o'clock. Then, what it is, right here. This was the windshield. You know what the windshield is of the driver? Yes, they took the side mirror off, and he was out in the median, playing in the median. Right.
So his body did hit that front windshield. Yeah. So that's having visions of it. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
And he went down, I'd say less than a quarter of a mile. She pulls over, she looks at her car, she pulls, the fender is bent to the wheel. She tries to pull it up, gets back in, drives up just a little bit, still rubbing, so she stops. She calls a friend, hey, come get me. And friend shows up, they go, we get her in the store there. We got the video of that. We got them, what were they saying, what were they doing? Left there and went to
Mama, let him talk.
All the way up until the judge and the jury says this is what we, this is what's going to happen.
We get what they get.
So what are they saying? What did they say? And what was the excuse that whoever decided to deliver this? What excuse did they come up with her being, with it being excusable for her to be gone for 2 hours, where she could have got rid of any type of substantial evidence, material, drugs, anything?
Is this too loud?
Where it could have been the driver, what excuse they take?
Y'all are trying to put stuff on me, and all I can just come out here and tell you is that we are proceeding on with this case. We're not dropping this case.
We're not trying to get anything on. We didn't say anything about anything being put on you. I said what was the excuse or what was the, suggested.
So let's see, stop here. And we're telling you now that we're saying, because we don't believe she thinks she hit a deer. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If we thought she hit a deer, we wouldn't be pressing charges against her.
Yeah,
but you guys also, but you come and you deliver this message, but then you say also that you guys want to go with the lesser charges of it. I buried a brother. Okay, so then maybe I heard wrong. Please.
You hear me when I'm saying with the bigger charge. With the deep felony charge, instead with the lesser charge. Then I age misdemeanor. You can get it go. So it's not misdemeanor. It's a criminal charge.
I want you to come and tell you that we're proceeding on, and we still got questions. We're still going to try to get as many answers as we can. But I want you to do it here first.
Okay, then there's one more question. Okay, you said he had nothing in his system. Was it could somebody have shot him up in there?
Did they look for a puncture for it?
Is it right? Yes, that's the fourth part.
Tracy Teasley is the one who said they got him on video.
They don't have it, they got him testifying.
You guys, please understand that the recording is in my device. So it makes it sound like my voice is like being extremely projected, but I'm talking directly into the device.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Tracy TV.
I mean, I'm telling you what we got, but when it comes to board, all these gonna come out, all these people gonna have to testify, all these people gonna have to testify what they've already covered, you did it on video.
Okay.
You're not gonna be able to say, oh, no, I didn't say that. Well, here it is.
All right.
Okay.
We feel like it.
I'm sure you would. He's got a lawyer. He's, got a
It's like whatever his name, agree what he's doing too on the line of his yes. Because he just concerned me, man, he knew it. He's not there, not more until he go back and see his law. You know, right back to the face.
And he was up for dismissal of his case based on a false arrest.
Yeah, it was a false arrest.
Based on a false arrest.
Okay, you guys, that actually wasn't the recording that I wanted to share with you guys, and I do apologize for the loud. My mic doesn't have a way to turn it down. If I turn it, the only option is to keep it on or turn it off. But that was not the recording that I wanted to share with you guys. It was the recording for when he first came over to the house. And I do apologize. I'm probably going to have to, because I don't know how long this is. I'm probably have to go back through this and actually find it, and then we'll probably have to revisit it, because I actually wanted you guys to hear from the beginning, with the elderly man being called, with the elderly man making the phone call and the whole nine, and just hearing how that played out. This here recording was, I want to say, a couple of days into the incident. So I have to go back and look at that recording, pull up that recording again for you guys. So I do apologize for that. I thought I actually had it set to the right recording. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, I know that in one of the recordings, it was mentioned that my brother he went up on the scene, and when he was up on the scene, he had noticed articles that belonged to Donald. When I speak of my other brother, I meant Wayne. When Wayne went up on the crime scene, he noticed some of my brother's articles strode up and down the area, and he called me. He was somewhat upset about it, and so I made a call into Sanders. And during that time when he was sharing with me about the articles being left on the streets, his thing was that the articles was there, but they were, he said Sergeant Sanders and another officer was some distance away from the body, up the streets, more so towards the church area. And he said, and they were searching the grounds. Well, when I started looking at the doctored up document that I received from the Arkansas State Crime Lab, I noticed that there was single puntate wound, is what they called it. But they were single puntate wounds. And when I started reading over, and I am going to share some of the information from the autopsy research document that I've been looking at. But through this other autopsy research document, this autopsy report also came from the Arkansas State Crime Lab. And when it talks about bullet trajectory holes, some of these same sizes fit some of the same numbers that I see reflected in the doctored up document. And so my trying to put two and two together, my assumption is instead of them being so concerned with the articles that was spreaded out, that was left out on the scene, they were actually up at the other end searching for possibly bullet casings. And so, and the only way we will actually have the truth in regards to that is if we actually get a true autopsy report. And like I said, we are going to look at autopsy reports. Excuse me. We are going to actually look at the breakdown of autopsy reports as looking into these autopsy reports. Like, for example, we have a cause of death as being multiple injuries, but when this book shows me several different, and like I said, these are autopsy reports from the Arkansas State Crime Laboratory. So in regards to the wordings and things like that, I think that is a good example of what autopsies should look like and how the information should be represented. I think that's fair. But like for an example, for the cause of death, like it literally says, like in some places, like here it says 6 gunshot wounds to the head. Like it's really, really specific in these. And then like here, cause of death, literature strangulation. So these type of things, and then like, and so it tells you like manner of death, homicide. On here, what do we have? We have cause of death, multiple injuries. It don't tell us what injury caused the death, which, you know, what was that injury that, what injury caused the death. It just tells us multiple injuries. And so, and as I share with you, we have different scattered, like here we have let's see here. When they speak of, and I don't want to get too much into this because this is something that we're going to actually, I'm going to actually bring to you guys, introduce to you guys, and we're going to compare it. I'm going to show you how the numbers reflect on this here as, you know, in regards to here. Like here, I have a bunch of numbers. I don't know if you can see them. I have a bunch of numbers describing lacerations and, you know, abrasions and things. But I also found out when they're speaking of abrasions, that when I look at the Ponte wounds, the abrasions has a lot to do. I want to say, if I remember correctly, with the burning that's caused from the taser. And if I'm not right, I will correct myself. But like I said, we're going to do it the right way. I'm going to have these documents, have what I'm comparing highlighted from these autopsy reports, as well as the numbers, and as well as what these reports are saying in regards to the similarities in some of the injuries that are being reflected in this doctored up document. So we do have that to come. The other thing was, you guys, can you please look at the image of the car? My brother gave me a call. I'm not a car person. I don't know anything about cars, but the vehicle in question is supposed to be a 2004 or 2006 Toyota Sienna. He called me up and he said, well, based on the picture, the image that I posted, he said that image looks like it has a part of a Chrysler ring versus a Toyota symbol, which he said is supposed to be in a circle. I don't know. I don't know cars. So if you will, can you guys just look at that image and send me a message, or, you know, leave a comment or whatever, if you can confirm whether or not it is a 2000 or 2004 or 2006 Toyota Sienna, or if it is a Sienna, is that Sienna or Sonata? Sienna, I believe, Sienna. Or if it is in fact a Chrysler, the wingtip to a Chrysler, because it doesn't show the full emblem on there. But like I said, I don't know cars, I don't know vehicles, so I wouldn't know. That was just something that he called me in regards to, and like I said, I have no clue. The other thing is, let's see, we talked about the searching of the bullet. Oh, I did get a call today. There was in the beginning, there was a question of whether or not the state should have initially taken this case. Well, I did receive a call today, and the person and I was talking, they did confirm that by the location of the incident, that the state was supposed to have taken that case. So it was a state case, and for whatever reason, the state did not take the case. But that did get confirmed today, that they should have taken the case. Let's see here. These systems, your system. I want to say that is all I have for you guys tonight, except for those of you that are really, really following this thing. The image on my page with the car on it. If you go back to that wonderful headlight where you're able to see the reflection of my brother, if you go back to that, and if you enlarge it, whether it be on your phone, you can take it and enlarge it on your phone if you choose to. But if you go back to it and you enlarge it, and just so you know, we're going to talk about this image a lot. You guys have no idea what the Lord showed me through this image. But if you take it and you enlarge it, there's another little area. And if if you see an image, when I share with you an image, and if you're able to identify, a person or whatever, please message me. Message me. You can comment it on Facebook, whatever works best for you. But if you go and you download that image, or you blow it up, or whatever works best for you, and you look right here, because I don't know if you can actually, let me see. I don't know if you can actually see here, but if you look right here in this little black circle here, you'll see that there is an image. Looks like, I'm not going to say I have a female, but it looks like there's an image there, and they have on shades. So I don't know if you guys can see it. So, but if you're able to go and look at that, and if you're able to identify the person or whatever, then please give me a shout out and let me know, because as you guys know, I don't know anybody. I don't know any of these wonderful people. I don't even know Miss Ashley. I've seen Miss Ashley once. Yeah, just that once. So I don't know any of these people. So yes, once you go and you look at that, if you can identify that person, then like I said, please share and let me know. That's all I have for you this evening. You guys be blessed. And then another thing, if you guys have questions and concerns that I have not answered, then please, you can message me, or you can leave it in the comment, that you want to know, what did I find out about this? Or what did I find out about this? Or did you find out this? Or are you aware that you're missing this piece of information? And then that lets me know that I need to look, that I need to try and research and find an answer to, whatever piece of information you're saying that, could be vital, because I don't know, so, but like I said, if you have any questions, or if you have anything that I have not answered, you guys are investing a lot of time in trying to find the truth too. So please don't hesitate to ask. Good night. You guys be blessed.